Welcome to Howie Mandel Does Stuff. Before the podcast starts, I just want to tell you about our guest is Nick Viall, and I guess he rose to fame as a bachelor, and boy, does he open the door on the behind the scenes. Apparently reality isn't reality. The reality is behind the scenes, not only on The Bachelor, on his life, and now working with Tom Sandoval. He's doing that thing on Fox. There's a show that he's doing, he'll be talking about. And then he solves some major problems. We took calls. I've never taken a call before. So we take a call, and it's... the call is something that I can't get out of my mind. And just wait for the phone call. That's all I'm saying. Even if you don't go all the way to the end of this podcast, wait for the phone call. Subscribe. Subscribe to this content, Howie Mandel Does Stuff. Comment is what I was trying to say. Or go to howiemandel.com and get some merch or find out where I'm playing live. I'm now on tour again. Enjoy this podcast. I did. Welcome to Howie Mandel Does Stuff. I'm Howie Mandel.
I'm Jackelyn, Shultz's daughter.
And we got a great guest today. Nick Viall. Nick.
How you doing, Howie?
I'm doing great. I did your podcast, and you were gracious enough to say that you would come and do mine.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing me a favor. I'm excited to be here.
I don't think it's a favor. I think it's nice and
mutually beneficial.
Hopeful.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll read the comments.
Let me know,
and we'll see. You're really doing well. You seem to be the in the podcast world. The I can't wear a hat. I was trying to wear a hat and
I saw.
Micromanaging. You know.
Wait, look.
No, it still doesn't work.
No. All right. Well, you guys know fashion. Okay, so you are, I think everybody knows, a bachelor.
Yeah, I was.
Well, you were a bachelor, and you're about to not be one anymore because you are engaged to a beautiful young lady.
Correct.
Who is here.
Aren't you still technically a bachelor until you're married?
I don't know.
No?
Well, I think you should ask her. She's in the other room.
Is he considered a bachelor?
I hope not.
No?
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe old-fashioned terms. I don't know. But I guess bachelor party would...
Yeah.
Right, you are.
There's nothing bachelor about me these days.
No. Have you set a date?
We have. Do
you want to tell us? Can you share it?
I don't.
Oh, it's
sometime next year.
Sometime next year.
Wait, that's different.
First quarter.
That's different.
First quarter, or are you doing it like a business?
No, right in the middle between first and second quarter, I think.
You want to do it first quarter so that you have the write-off for taxes?
Sure. I want to. I want to make sure the funds come in early in the year.
When you talk about friends with benefits, he's talking about tax benefits. If you do it in the first quarter, then she can. Well, your fiancé is also. Is she a plastic surgeon or works for a plastic surgeon?
She works for a plastic surgeon. She's a surgical technologist, so she assists in surgery.
Yeah, we talked when I was on your podcast. I may need to go to her. Do you remember?
Yeah. How are your eyes?
My eyes. Well, good. You do remember.
Yeah.
They're almost closed. Like I have so much skin, and I'll talk to her.
You should ask Natalie.
That's what I was going to ask. What did you think when I said I will talk to her? Who did you think I was going to ask?
I don't know.
I was going to ask Natalie. I will ask Natalie like later on, and we'll bring her in. But I wanted to talk to you. You've The Bachelor. You were a bachelor, and now you're a podcaster. But you seem to stir up that. Which I've become known to do. Well, I just got into it with
Not
the Sandoval.
on purpose.
Yeah, with Sandoval and things like that. And you had
I recently have met Tom.
Really?
You did?
Spent some time with him, gotten to know him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And?
It was an interesting experience. Yeah.
Did any of your thoughts change after meeting and spending time with him?
Yes and no. Yeah.
Well, that's a very politically correct answer. Yes.
I've always
and no.
Well, I do think people nowadays. I've harped on this over and over. I think with the whole the Jonah Hill stuff recently, his ex-girlfriend releasing those text messages has created a conversation around the the misuse of therapy speak, people going to therapy and learning terms like love bombing and gaslighting and narcissists and all these things and boundaries and then, going to a couple of therapy sessions and then start like using that in the vocabulary, with their partners, but misusing it in a way that's kind of manipulative and things like that, which
Where's this going?
It's been going on for a while, nonetheless. But what was I lost my train of thought.
Tom Sandoval.
Oh, yeah, Tom Sandoval.
Did your thoughts about him change?
Well, yeah, because how, I guess my point is like, if you ask anyone right now, it's just like, Tom Sandoval's a narcissist, he's a sociopath, and like, shit like that, just because he has been selfish and he's been self-centered with his actions. Getting to know him, I never thought he was a narcissist. Not that I'm in a position to diagnose him, but like, I just thought he was kind of a selfish dude. But like, I spent some time with him. I also just think he has a different value system. I think he's just a very unique he's kind of weird. And he's just his own special person. And I think at the end of the day, after talking with him, I just don't think he thinks cheating is that big of a deal. And whether you agree or disagree with him, it's for your opinion, but it's not big. You know what I'm saying? I think
Watch what you're saying, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I disagree with him.
That's what I said, and that didn't help.
I couldn't disagree with him more, but I just think he doesn't see it that way. And I think he's just different, It was, but he's just...
Have you ever cheated?
No.
Never?
No.
No, I don't mean on Natalie. I'm talking...
Never in
any relationship.
I don't think it's... I've been lucky enough that I had a healthy childhood, and I don't think I have a lot of. I don't have the type of trauma that maybe want to act out that way. But it's just a non-negotiable for me. To me, I don't think it's that hard to deal with your shit in a relationship. And if you're unhappy in a relationship and your needs aren't being met, it's not that hard to break up. I mean, it's difficult, it's challenging. You have to have some awkward conversations, but I don't find it that hard. And also, I think relationships are just a shit ton of work. And if I want to be in a relationship, the last thing I want to do is sleep with other people. And if I want to sleep with other people, I'll just break up. And to me, it's just that simple. I don't know, but some people find it hard. Also, a recent study, 2/3 of people on Tinder are in relationships.
Wow. What study is that for? Is that a real
study? He did a recent study.
You did it.
He tried to hook up.
I saw it on the internet. I don't know if it's true.
He tried to hook up with 9 people on Tinder, and 6 of them were in relationships.
I was like,
really? Do you believe that?
Do I believe that? Yeah, I do. Yeah. That's the thing about like Tom. It's just like, I think what he did was shitty. But I think that was your big question. Why are people giving this? Why are people
I don't
so
want to get into it again, only because I tried to. I went on your podcast to try to.
How did people react?
Not good to me. I could not
to you.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't care if it was to you. No, I mean, now I'm in trouble again. But what I'm saying is, I thought, people reacted to how I react to me on my podcast dealing with the Scandival. And then I went on your podcast because I thought your podcast is more inside baseball, whereas the people who watch that show, know that show, know Bravo, know Bachelor, know you are there. And I might have a platform to not defend myself, but explain myself. Mm-hmm. Which I tried to do, and as far as just saying, hey, listen, I'm not condoning anything. I don't agree with it. In fact, everything you just said about cheating is how I feel. I've been in, and it's tried and proven. I've been in a relationship for almost 50 years. I've been married to my wife for 43 years. I swear to you, I've never cheated, and I wouldn't cheat, and I wouldn't condone cheating. And if I found out that somebody cheated on my daughter, she's married, and if her husband cheated, I would go apocalyptic. The question I had is, why is cheating on a reality show, where I'm also of the understanding, went into this, where a lot of people got together based on cheating. Mm-hmm. Why has this broken through the bubble of Bravo and onto CNN? And using the statement is, why is this such a big deal? People kind of took as Howie saying he doesn't think it's a big deal. So I went on your show and you asked me, and as you should have, what were you thinking and how did you do it? You broke it down and I explained it to you exactly. Mm-hmm. I think I said exactly what I just said now. I said on your show. And then you read the comments on that episode, and I was still hated upon.
You can't win.
Yeah.
You're just done. Like once a decision is already made up about
Yeah, you would have to say, and I don't think you should, because I love that you stand by how you feel. You would have had to say, I was completely wrong. I'm stupid. I've completely reversed course. I'm sorry. I'm learning. I'm taking classes. You would have had to say that
But what would I have been wrong? What was I wrong about?
I want to know what class you
I think it was, I think it was just unfortunately, we live in a world where people aren't interested in nuanced conversations. It's either good or evil or black and white.
Well, to that end, I've been reading, you were coming on here, and I was just seeing like what's up, and you started getting hit for talking on, which you brought up in the last little statement that you made, that you didn't think reality stars should be getting therapy. Right?
Oh.
I didn't say that.
No, what did you say?
It was about
I don't think
the foundation.
I don't think people should ask fans for donations for their therapy. Yeah.
Does the
I agree with that.
Does the UCAN Foundation ask fans for funding? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't really understand what that.
Oh, then I
foundation
agree
is.
with you then.
Yeah.
I thought, so my misinterpretation was you were I'm misinterpreting. I'm saying I'm misinterpreting.
I mean, we live in a world where people don't read articles, they read headlines.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do my homework. And if you know anything about me,
Howie.
I do not do my homework, and I didn't know. So I've been misinformed.
I went based off of the
Headline.
Not the headline. I saw the stories that were posted from some of the Love Is Blind cast
who started the foundation.
Who started the foundation, and based on what they were saying something different than what you were just explaining.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
But to that end, I think people get into reality TV and get incredibly damaged and don't know what they're getting into.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
You were in it.
Yeah.
Did you feel that pressure?
What pressure? Like what kind? What do you mean? I felt a lot of pressure. Yeah, but I think most of the damage and the pressure comes from the aftermath of the show.
Right.
Listen, I'm not on every production set out there, so I can't speak to the working conditions that are going on. But I do know they're pretty upfront with what people are signing up for, at least to the extent of you're going to be.
That doesn't mean anything. Though.
Well, to a certain extent,
Well, I'll just give you what I do know. I'm on America's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. And on America's Got Talent, we have employed a full-time therapist or a psychologist, and they're always there. They're always in the wings. And that is because people have signed contracts and they're going to go out there. I don't think we can explain ad nauseum what you're about to do. You are going out there in front of millions of people, in front of a panel of judges, in front of a live audience, and you hopefully will achieve your hopes and your dreams. Things don't always go as planned.
Correct. Yeah.
And many times, how those people or groups of people react to how they are received or how they perceive they're being received in a very vulnerable, scary way, so that there is somebody as they walk off that stage saying, "Are you as somebody professional? Are you okay? Do you need to talk about something? Are you okay with everything that just happened? Are you sure?" And we take the responsibility of making sure they're at least seem okay when they leave the building.
Yeah.
To that end, my headset just unplugged. To that end, I can't imagine there isn't a psychologist sitting on is there one sitting there at the Bachelor?
Yes, there is.
Every day.
When I was on, they had one on staff and traveled with the show.
Okay.
I don't think they were made available to the cast as much as I think they should have. I think, and then post-show, the therapist was in theory always available, but again, not to the extent in which I think they should be. Mm-hmm. Since then, my understanding is they have drastically improved that. I think they have kind of like what they call like an aftercare program.
Which should exist because
100%.
even more than on AGT, and they don't let anybody leave the building without at least a professional believing that they are in a safe place mentally. I think that sometimes when you're on a reality show, your context is only where you are and what you see and what you hear, as opposed to when it airs. You know, you don't know what somebody else said in their their interview, or how they took your date, or how they did that, and then you see that, and that could impact you. And there's nobody sitting beside you at home to go, I came off like a fucking idiot.
Totally. Or maybe you didn't, or were made to look like you came off like an idiot.
Right. And there's nobody, and therefore, when I heard about this foundation or whatever it is it a foundation? Is it a group?
I think it's a charity that focuses on working conditions for reality TV personalities, and also therapy for those people.
Which I thought was a great idea. If you don't think so. You don't think so?
Well, again, I just don't think it was presented in an accurate way. Again, the focus was on the working conditions. I think no one's going to take care of your mental health more than you're going to. So I think we have to, be accountable for our mental health first and foremost. And again, I think most of the struggle that people have from a reality TV space, that when it comes to their mental health, again, is the aftermath. It's not, not to get into some of the things that they said, but it's not necessarily, the long days that are, the production schedule of some of the shows that, there's just a lot going on, but it's the Reddit posts and the comments on Instagram and the reading the articles about yourself. And these same people who were complaining about that are the same people who are also, promoting internet bullying and trolling other people because they disagree with. And it's just like, to me, there's a bit of a hypocrisy in that.
There is.
And I just think, again, I'm a huge advocate for therapy and taking care of your mental health, but I'm also an advocate of policing yourself post-show and getting the help that you need and reaching out and asking for help when you need. It's not necessarily asking fans for donations because you don't like how things played out when you were filming something. And again, if you're going to complain about that, I would like to see people take, actions when it comes to how they handle themselves and how they protect their own mental health post-show, which comes down to your time on social media and your willingness or lack thereof to Google yourself or to, immerse yourself in the comments and Reddit posts, and because that can really destroy your mental health. You're chasing validation and you start editing yourself, or you respond to things like a big thing that happens in our world, as a podcaster, for example. We recap other shows, and pretty common right now, Charity, the current Bachelorette's going on. Overall, I love Charity. I think she's an entertaining Bachelorette. Really been enjoying her. I'm surprised by how much I'm enjoying her because she comes from a therapy background, so I thought she might be more reserved. I thought she might be more guarded, which, as in life, is probably a good thing to be. On TV, it's not as entertaining to watch, right? So, but I found her to be entertaining. I've also noticed that she seems to be attracted to pretty men, and she seems to be a magnet for fuckboys. And so that's just my opinion, right? And so I'll say this on one episode. My overall sentiment is love Charity as Bachelorette, really entertained by her, but someone who might be a fan of Charity, I guarantee this has happened without confirming, because it happens every season. They will take a critical comment that I might say. They will DM or message Charity saying, "Can you believe what Nick Viall said about you? Blah, 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 blah." Most people will then read that headline, get furious, maybe, and they'll cherry pick and so again, it's like, stay out of your DMs, stay out of your comments. There's things you can do, seek advice from people who've been on these shows and get, feedback on how to protect your mental health. This has been my experience because
that's your experience, but my experience as an older guy and who's lived a lot of life, I don't think people have that kind of self-control or awareness. And I think what?
You must be making me nervous.
Speaking of self-control, do you need anything? Do you want to?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
It's just a $2 shirt.
Really? You wear $2 shirts?
I think it's just like Hanes, like an undershirt.
I know. It looks good. I know. I can speak from experience because I'm a fuckboy. And the thing is, I just call myself a fuckboy. Or I don't know if I'm a fuckboy or if I'm just fucked. Anyway, the point that I'm making is that you're telling people what they should do or how they should operate, but people don't operate the way they should. And when you are feeling really low and really down and really attacked, the easiest thing to do is to lie there in bed and look at your social media and go there, which is not the right thing to do, but go there for your validation.
Totally.
Any therapist will tell you your validation has to come from within and you can't look outside, and especially social media. These are all things you shouldn't do. The reason people go to therapy is because you shouldn't drink too much alcohol, but people become alcoholics. You shouldn't be a meth addict, but people take meth. The point is that there are people that don't have the control. What you're saying is right. People can't get to that. And I feel like the people that sign up to be on TV, including myself, have an issue with being accepted by people that really don't matter in your life.
Totally.
And when you have that weakness, I'm fascinated by anybody who doesn't want to be on TV, by anybody who doesn't care to try to be famous or make a lot of money. These are the people that are probably more content in life, the people that are more together in life. So when somebody gets on a reality show, because that's their pathway in, if you asked anybody, they'd probably say, you got a choice. You can be on, Vanderpump Rules, or you can do a Scorsese film. I would imagine they would do the Scorsese film, but they don't have that opportunity. So they're on Vanderpump Rules. They don't know how this is going to impact their life. They don't know how hard it is. And that is harder for them and you on The Bachelor than anything I ever did on any show that I was ever hired for. Oh. And I don't think any human being can be prepared for that.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so now we have a commercial, and it's our new sponsor.
What is that?
Kenny. Kenny got a smoke machine. Kenny, wait, your mic's not working.
Can you hear me?
He unplugged your mic and plugged in a smoke machine.
Did you unplug the mic for the smoke machine?
He did. He unplugged the mic and then put in the smoke machine. What? This is for Uncommon Goods. And I love them. If you want to get somebody a gift and you want them to go, where did this come from? They have amazing, I'll just tell you, for your daughter, I bought that piano. There's a little baby piano and it lights up, and that's how she's learning piano, from Uncommon Goods.
I actually bought my brother and my sister a gift from Uncommon Goods, and I was planning on using it also for my holiday shopping.
We should see if they have Kenny! To unplug the machine and plug in her mic. Anyway, you can get art, you can get jewelry, you can get kitchen and home bar things, all from Uncommon Goods. They have something for everyone, and not the same lackluster gifts you can find just anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date. And you want to tell them how do I tell them?
Like this? Okay. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/Howie. That's uncommongoods.com/Howie for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time deal offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary.
Kenny, unplug the smoke machine and put her mic back on. Back to the show.
You can take accountability and recognize that, going on The Bachelor or Vanderpump is an incredible experience that might open up a lot of doors and give me a lot of access and comes with a lot of risk, and still not totally know what you're signing up for. People always, The Bachelor, you know what you signed up for. You never really know until you're in that crazy world. And I think we're saying the same thing. And I think the shows, for example, like The Bachelor, have been critical of, and I think they've done a good job of getting better, and I think they have ways to go, but I think they do a bad job of preparing their casts for post-Bachelor world. But you don't want to. You don't. As a producer, and you're a producer, you produce your own podcast.
you don't want them to be, as you just said about the Bachelorette right now, you don't want them to be guarded. You want
not filming, but I think once they're done filming, I think they could do a better job of bringing in, say, past, contestants, and kind of just give them a, like the football in the NFL. I'm a football fan. Like every year they have this like rookie symposium when they bring in veterans and say, hey, here's what you can expect. Here are things. Here's people are going to come at you. Here's what to look out for. Here's what to do. Here's how to invest your money. Yada yada yada. And I think,
football doesn't really take care of.
Yeah,
that's a really bad analogy.
Well, I mean, that's from a retirement standpoint. You're talking about retirees, but they, in terms of current players, I'm just saying, I think these shows could do a better job of utilizing their resources and having more programs to prepare their cast people for life, thrusted into the public eye. But
they're not even there for the right.
Now. Forget about after the show. Don't you think it's also production's response? Like they need to take accountability for what they do during the show, because I've heard, you would know, I might be wrong again, but like they film all through the night without sleeping, and we'll give alcohol, and we'll get like all these scenarios so that it will create a better show.
That's not been my experience, so I can't
but
speak I can't speak to other people's experience.
Yeah, you can. You know that they serve alcohol on the set.
My experience. And I'm just being dead set. When they talk about hours, right?
Yeah.
There's just a lot to do. They are 18-hour days. The lead, as the lead of The Bachelor, one of the most physical, emotionally demanding things I've ever had to do, because it is 18-hour days and you're constantly on, and you're talking to one of the women or talking to one of the producers in the interview. It's just a lot, right?
But here's what I want to ask you then. So you are the lead.
Yeah.
I'm the producer. You had access to alcohol if you needed it, if you wanted it.
If I wanted it.
Yeah. But the point is, so, we're in the middle of a strike right now, but our union on television, when you're working in another realm, does not allow you to go, that many hours and have a producer, even if irresponsibly you're going, I need a drink. They were the producer on The Bachelor or any of these shows, I would imagine, and I don't know them personally, would be thrilled that you asked for a drink, would be thrilled that you were tired. You have the ability, you personally, Nick, have the ability to control yourself. They don't want you to control yourself. They want you out of control. That's better fucking television.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Right. So that, in a way, lends itself to a little bit of irresponsibility for profit.
Or even Vanderpump. I'm sure they're stoked now that they're nominated for Emmys at the expense of some
people's
of
mental health.
Right.
I guess where do you draw the line between personal accountability and putting that onus on someone else? Again, like I guess I was never made to drink.
Here's what I'm saying. If you were, I'm just telling you, me personally, as a producer, if I was producing a show, and even if I wanted that show to be an unscripted show where, Nick, you're going to star, and we worked all night, and you got tired, and you got drunk, and you had rage or whatever happened, I personally would feel responsible as the producer, not to not air it as much as to make sure that you were okay with how this is going to turn out, and make sure that you were okay with what?
Well, then maybe you're not going to create very good television.
Yeah. Listen,
I think you're right. I
would have. I agree. That's been the right thing. That would have been the right thing to do. And as someone who's been on that show, I would have appreciated that, because there are plenty of times I did not like how I was portrayed.
Even on this podcast, I will ask you at the end, and I'll ask you now. You don't know until the end. I'll say to you, Nick, is there something that you're concerned about that you want me to cut out? That could,
I appreciate it. And we do the same for our guests.
That could hurt you badly. But that's just my human responsibility to not have you show up and be there for my benefit and profit, and then have your life be in a darker place because of my benefit and profit. That's just my, that's how I was brought up. That's my humanity. That's the way I want my children to be. So I guess
I think we're saying the same thing. I don't think we're disagreeing.
I think it started with my misunderstanding of what you were against. You know, I do think that there should be something set up for reality stars where they have, and not necessarily by the actual production company, but just an overall place where they can go, because nobody can explain to you how
Are reality stars they're not part of a union, right?
I don't think so.
No.
Not based off their time as reality stars.
Right. They can become actresses and actors and join a union, but I don't think that's what they want. But
the particular thing you guys are referring to, I just didn't agree with how it was delivered or how they went about it. I don't agree that I don't think it's okay to ask for fans and kind of placate to your fans, and they are fans of you. And I don't think they should be responsible for paying for, your therapy.
I'll probably get myself in trouble again, but what I felt bad about, and I wanted to give him a platform, is I said, and now having watched the show a little bit of VBS, I did feel bad for the amount of attacks that Tom was getting. Whether he fucked up or not, I felt bad. He's a human being and he was being attacked, and maybe he deserves to be attacked. That's not the point. I felt bad for Ariana because whatever happened to her, and it's horrible, not only happened to her, but happened publicly. And everything that happens to you guys happened. And I felt bad for Raquel, who probably did a stupid thing and young, and she's ended up in a mental health facility. And I'm just going, oh my God, these people, this amount of attack could actually, send somebody into a dark place that I won't even mention out loud. And it's not worth television.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong that while Tom and Rachel made a mistake, they don't deserve to be bullied to the point where people are telling them to kill themselves and things like that. It's terrible stuff. And unfortunately, we live in this kind of mob mentality world where, unfortunately, some fans, not all, I would say a small minority of fans don't see us as human beings. They see us as actual characters. And there's this weird thing of like, I know who you are because you're playing yourself, but they don't treat us like human beings. They treat us like characters they would hate on a Marvel movie and things like that. And they don't think the things that they're saying to us in the comments and the DMs. One of the most common occurrences for a reality TV, I guess maybe any celebrity, but I've only experienced as someone on reality TV, and I'm someone who received a lot of criticism at times when my time on the show, and I've received some pretty nasty and hateful comments, and I almost never respond to people, but if I ever were to respond, it's always with kindness. It's always like, I'm sorry for upsetting you or whatever, and 100 times out of 100. The response is like, oh my God, I didn't think you would see that. I love you. And this is after they would say something.
That's called trolling. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're trolling.
They just want attention,
Right.
And it's just, they just want to be validated and things like that. So I just kind of learned not to take it personally. And I find it shocking. I find it shocking that in 1 second, someone could tell me to, I should just die and I should just kill myself, and then the next comment tell me that they love me and they're just kidding. But I don't know why people do stuff like that. Not
everybody are great joke writers. Not everybody know how to write a joke.
Yeah. You know what I do like, though? You've made it very clear multiple times on your podcast that you will not say someone is a narcissist or something like that, because I think people do throw around, like you were saying, therapy terms a little bit too much. And like when they see a villain or see anyone that they deem as a villain on a reality show, like now it's Tom, they say he's a narcissist, but no one is a therapist in order to that's like an actual diagnosis. Just like everyone comes up to you and says, oh, I have a little OCD too.
Right.
It's like the same thing. It's not for people to diagnose the people that they see on television.
I just think people are lazy. And I think instead of having nuanced conversations and trying to understand what these words mean, they just try to insert them into their vocabulary because it's just easier to be like, oh, gaslighting means I like someone like, is trying to make me feel crazy. Well, when you're in an argument with someone, have you ever not felt crazy? Like when you're arguing with your wife, have you ever argued with your wife?
I have never had an argument or disagreement in my life.
Every once in a while.
I never feel crazy. I'm always right.
Every once in a while now and I will argue, and we almost never argue. And I'll tell you what, when we're arguing, we both are like, what are you thinking, but like, that doesn't mean you're gaslighting. Anyways, yeah, I think it's irresponsible to diagnose anyone with these terms. Gaslighting is not even the actual DSM. Like therapists won't even diagnose this. And I also think there's real narcissists, there's real sociopaths, there's real abusers, there's bad people out there. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by using this language and watering down the meaning of these terms.
And there's nothing like a podcaster and reality star and talent judge and school teacher to teach the people what these terms are and to really talk about these terms. Yeah. The point is that I don't think people understand the reality of TV and their own lives. They take this very seriously. They take it really to heart, and they legitimately, as I saw and was a party to, it ruins or makes their life, other people's faux pas and trouble and anger. Like, why are you I've never gotten that angry at somebody I know, let alone a stranger that you just watched and listened to.
Well, I think the Tom thing got, why people got so upset is because I think there are, whether it's actually 2/3 of people on Tinder in relationships, I think cheating and infidelity is so common. And most people who are victims of infidelity feel like justice wasn't served for them, that the person who victimized them and cheated on them kind of got away with it, wasn't really held accountable. And I think for all those people, specifically women, because majority of women watch the Vanderpump, not all, I'm a huge fan, but Tom kind of was the person they could hold accountable. They couldn't hold their person accountable, so they could hold Tom accountable, and they kind of projected their situation onto Tom. I think that's why it hit mainstream. But also, like, reality TV, very much for the people who are reality TV fans, they consume it just like sports fans. It's their sports, and that's why they get as passionate as they do, because not only do they like rooting for their team, they love hating I love hating the Minnesota Vikings as much as I enjoy rooting for the Green Bay Packers.
So to that end, you're explaining the viewer. I still have a hard time understanding the actual player, and as far as even more importantly, or more specifically, the Bachelor or the Bachelorette. There's no line that makes me laugh more on that show.
I know what you're going to say.
Than when I don't believe he's here for the right reason.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, if you legitimately want to find a life partner, if you legitimately want to find somebody that you connect with, that you could share with, that you could procreate with, that you can live with, that you can become one with, is it really on TV, on a TV show where you're
it's happened
and lasted?
Yeah.
It has, yeah.
Well,
babies have been born. I agree with you in the sense that the fact that the show is sold as a last chance at love, I think, is comical. It's just like if The Bachelor is not a place where it's not a last resort, and I wouldn't recommend it to someone I cared about to find love. It is a place that people have found love, and I do think, in defense of the show, for all the people who critique the poor track record of the relationships that start, I mean, like, where do people have a good track record?
Right.
Most not relationships, it's not any less successful.
Why did you go on?
For the experience. I thought
not for the exposure?
I was a kid at the time. I was selling software in Chicago, and I thought, I'm being genuine. I say this, but like, to me, I would have thought it would be cool if I was stopped by the local news and was on the 5 o'clock news as witness number 3. I would have been like, oh, that would have been cool.
No, I agree.
And so when I got the call, I had never been my experience of traveling had been to Dominican Republic and Mexico. I'd never been to Europe or Asia. So much about The Bachelor is traveling the world.
Right.
So I thought, well, and when I first got asked, I only said yes because I had never been to LA, and I genuinely thought I would say no because I had a job that I loved, a job I cared about, and a job I wasn't willing to lose. And so I really just said yes to the casting process. Like, well, I'm not going to do the show, but maybe I'll get a free trip to LA, and it'd be kind of cool to see what the casting process is like. And as I went through the casting process, I realized that they liked me and they actually might ask me to do the show. And then I was lucky enough to have relationships with the people I worked with where I just like a few people I trusted, and I said, hey man, like, so there's a show called The Bachelor, and they're like, and to my surprise, everyone, and I had good relationships with important people in the company. To my surprise, they all told me I should do it, and I was lucky enough that they valued me as an employee and allowed me to do that and keep my job.
So I get it. So it's not because, you've been longing for the partner of a lifetime and you really thought to be on TV. Everybody wants to be on TV. I'm always fascinated, like on Cops, which doesn't really tape anymore, I don't think. But people were always willing, not at their shining moment, to sign a release. Like this is
or
right.
Cheaters or
or
something.
Cheaters. Yeah, but just to be on TV. And I get it. Because I'm a guy who wanted to be, and probably still wants.
Are you the father?
But what I'm saying is that kind of epitomizes what we all want. And we want to be recognized, and we want to be stopped, and you want to stand behind the weatherman and wave, and people are happy to be part of the audience, and they can't wait to see themselves. At AGT, we always had the warm-up guy going, you're going to be on this episode. Like if everybody cheer, and they're excited to be part of the show. And so that's why people get on there. So when I see them trying to sell me that or especially when I see a guy crying about, she likes him and he's not here for the right reason, and it's about me, I go, what the fuck are you thinking?
After like one episode.
After one episode. And also to think like, if you really want to partner with somebody, don't you want to really bring somebody into your real world? Mm-hmm. I mean, you probably live in a one-bedroom apartment in the city, someplace, and I'm not knocking on one. I grew up like that, but here you are on a palatial Caribbean vacation somewhere that I can't afford to do. And this is the world that they surround you in. So this is nothing about it is real. Nothing, you're never going to match that world that they give you.
Yeah, that's a common thought. I don't.
You don't agree?
No, in the sense that and you asked me when I went on the show. Once I decided to go on the show, I said to myself, well, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to immerse myself in the world. I'm going to be open to getting to know this person and see if there's something there. I'm not going to, try to fall in love, but I'll be open to it. And to your point, you get to do some really cool experiences, but all the dates that seem like, the helicopter rides and all that, there's so much production in there that it's just really hard to have a conversation. It's really hard to build a connection. And it's the dates that feel more real life, like walking through a city and stopping at stores that, actually have the most value. But yes, you're not building, on The Bachelor, whoever wins, you're spending, if you were to add up all the minutes, it's a relationship built on withholding love rather than actually spending time. You spend moments with each other. You have a little bit of a spark, and then they pull you away from each other. And so you spend most of your time building up these relationships in your head and fantasizing about it and falling in love with the idea of someone rather than the person. And everyone who gets engaged on that show, they feel real feelings. People ask me, what's the thing I learned most about the show? And first couple of years I'd answer the question and be like, well, not really. I mean, I'm the same person, yada, yada. But after thinking about it most, I think the thing I learned the most on that show is that feeling in love and being in love can be two different things. Your feelings can be it can feel like love, but in reality it's maybe infatuation, or it's like a spark, or things like that, where depending how you define love, a real emotional connection, a trust, knowing people's weaknesses and knowing who they really are and what makes them vulnerable. You can't possibly learn all that in this world. So everyone who gets to the end, they're really basing their feelings off of kind of fighting everyone off. And they, the people who get to the end truly feel like they have fought. They have fought off all these other suitors and things like that. Even the lead feels like they had to fight through a bunch of people they didn't really want to talk to, but they were forced to talk to, only to finally be with the person they want to be with. And then it's just it's a coin flip. You have real feelings, but you don't really know what these real feelings are. So you agree to date them in the real world and see if you were right. And most people realize they're not your person, and you break up.
And it's also more of a game than an experience. It's more of a game. Like, it's very competitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Life is competitive.
I remember season 1. I was halfway through the season. I had a connection with the lead. I knew I liked her. And I remember saying to myself and the producers, just like, I know I'm super competitive and I know I like her. And I honestly just can't tell which one is driving my feelings more. I just couldn't tell. I just knew that they were both happening, and I was at least self-aware enough to be like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel when I get out. So I just decided to embrace the environment I was in.
Were you more competitive or were you more...
that's the thing.
You don't know?
I knew I was competitive, and I knew that the environment I was in brought out my competitive spirit, but I also knew I liked her. I knew I was natural. There was a.
Well, to that end, we had, I'm friends with Will Sasso, who does a podcast. He was on our podcast, and he talked about this. Dutzy, which is, do you know about this? He's got an AI-driven podcast with his partner. And the partner is this genius who actually wrote a book on how to win The Bachelor.
It's
do you know about
Bachelor
this?
playbook, and he said,
you know that?
I'm familiar with the book. Yeah.
You are.
And he said, let me show you what he said to us, and then I want you to comment on this.
Sorry, I have encyclopedic knowledge of reality television.
Viall
You need
Files.
to go on Nick Viall's podcast.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Why?
But,
Why?
He doesn't like you?
Stories for another time. Nick Viall is very much
What?
Wait, go.
What are you doing?
what we call a fence player. He is not affiliated legitimately with the show anymore, but he gets a lot of favors from them, so he has to kind of mind his P's and Q's about what he says. We are very definitely on the other side of that. We are trying to analyze the game for what it is a game, expose it as a game, and win that game.
Wasn't there a show that came out that was a scripted show about The Bachelor that was really showing? That's it.
Well, wait.
But
Play the clip that he...
like how productive.
What his book does, and he says that he wins.
That's a little bit before that.
That's a little bit... So you can explain... Do you know who he is?
I've seen his face before.
Okay, it's been on that neck for years. What I was saying, what he was saying was he wrote a book on how to win The Bachelor, and
that they've been caught on the set reading that book
and thrown off the game.
Cast members?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
Play before that. But he says there's a definite game strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I disagree with that. I mean, my understanding of these people is ultimately they're just fans of the show. Mm-hmm. They've gotten very involved. I mean, there's a competitive element to it, but I think it's what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Yeah. That my experience on the show really affected me. While I don't think I was ever really in love for what I now feel like really love is to me. I felt real pain and real sadness and real heartbreak when I was the Bachelor. Even for the women I wasn't going to end up with, I felt real remorse and real guilt because on some level you have to be misleading and you have to lead people on. I tried to be very respectful for that as much as I could. And so I think, and everyone's experience is different. The people who make it to the final four, they have a very different experience on that show rather than the people who are there for night one or a couple weeks. I always find it kind of hilarious that the people who usually go home the first week or two have the most to say about how the show works in public. But it's, the people who make the final four are literally there twice as long.
How long is the whole thing?
Depending on the season, but historically, typically it's about 9 weeks. And you get to the final four within the first 5.5, 6 weeks. So again, the final four, they're almost twice as long as anyone else. But I guess my point is listen, they're having fun. I think they're kind of, my question for them is I wonder how serious they are about their analysis of the show. But to me, again, they're, the people who will go on that show, it was my life for a big part of my 30s. And I had a lot of ups and a lot of downs and a lot of trauma from it and a lot of experiences, and to have that be suggested that it's all just a game and it's all fake and no one's sincere and it's all just, do you think gamesmanship, I think is disingenuous to the people who've had real feelings and real emotions and had to deal with some real trauma from that environment.
But they don't know that going into it, and I think most people probably go into it for the reasons that you went into it, because it would be a great experience, and lo and behold, I can end up with a great life partner. I would think the hardest part on that show is the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, and I would think it would be.
Well, yeah, it feels impossible.
But what I'm saying is to disappoint somebody, to have to face somebody and say you aren't getting the rose, or you're going home, or it's not you. I don't know that I could do that. You know, it was really hard for me, even on Deal or No Deal, where or even on AGT, to give somebody some negative news that I didn't love it, or I don't. That's always the hardest thing, and I don't know how I imagine it's really hard for these people to receive rejection so publicly with cameras and everybody around, but to constantly. You know, how many do you start out with how many people start
25 to 30.
So 24 people, you got to go home. Goodbye.
Yeah, no, it's a nightmare. It's a truly nightmare. And then on my season, when I was a Bachelor, I made the conscious choice. And again, like it's a relationship with producers. Like the Bachelor or the Bachelorette has a lot of say, but you're also working with people making a TV show, and it's a collaboration. And I made the conscious choice that I wanted to be, prior to my time in The Bachelor, I was the 2-time runner-up, so that was pretty heavy on me. And I felt misled, and I felt led on, and I felt manipulated, I had a little more empathy for the leads when I was in their shoes later on. But that being said, I broke, most of the time when on that show, you send people home by simply just not giving them a rose. And then it's just like, oh, whoever didn't get a rose, say goodbye to your friends. You have this awkward like hug with people, but you really don't have to break up with them. I think I broke up with the most people one-on-one. It's like you can never win. I actually got criticized for it, but my intention at the time was, I want to like give these women the respect they deserve by actually like allowing them to have a conversation, to like actually have a conversation, say it's not working for me. Or not working for us, rather than just not giving them a rose. I wanted to give them their time to like have a conversation and have them have their moment. And it was met with like mixed reviews between, oh, that's just harsh or whatever. But to me, I thought it was, I was trying to be more sincere, And
in those moments where you gave people their moment, did it strike you like I fucked up? I should have kept you.
No.
Oh, never. They never said anything that kind of...
I think I knew pretty early who I thought I was going to end up with, which I think is pretty common in that show. And then once you kind of figure that out, you're literally just trying to survive, and you're trying to send people home as fast as possible to get to the end. So you feel bad, and you try to be as nice and as gracious as possible, but you want everyone to leave.
How'd you meet your fiance?
She slid into my DMs.
Did she?
What are you laughing at?
I just think it's funny.
Why?
Was it all the thirst traps? And she just slid in after some of those thirst traps?
No, it was a picture.
Yeah.
That I had my then masseuse take a picture of me in a Whole Foods parking lot.
You had a masseuse take a picture of you in a Whole Foods parking lot.
Yeah.
But that's different.
I'm living by myself, and as someone who's on Instagram and quote unquote makes content, and you have these meetings with Facebook or Instagram, and you're like, do you have any like advice for me and like how I should like manage my Instagram? And all they tell you is like post more content, And it's just like, and I was a single guy living by myself, and I don't have a natural like desire, despite if you look at my Instagram, to like take pictures. And so
why do you go shopping with a masseuse?
No, at Whole Foods, I love a good chair massage. And Diane, the masseuse, was like always had a chair in the Venice Whole Foods, and I just started going to her. And then
there's a masseuse in the Whole Foods.
They had one of those chair massages. There was at the time.
Diane.
This was prior. This is pre-COVID.
Are you throwing up?
No, I was a burp.
Okay.
And as a single man at the time, I was a single serving guy, which means that like I don't like grocery shop. I would just go to every day. Like I'd go to the grocery store 4 or 5 times a week, and I'd buy like a burger that I had on the grill or a piece of chicken or something. I'd just buy my meal for that day. So
There's no happy endings in Whole Foods.
4 or 5 days a week, I'd go and then I'd get a massage. I spent like $3,000 that year on chair massages, and then I built a rapport with her. So one day I was like, "Hey, this is really weird, but can you just take a fucking picture of me?" And she graciously went out to the parking lot, snapped a picture. I posted it, and that was a picture that showed up on Natalie's
Tell Nat to come in.
Explorer page.
Tell Nat to come in.
But that's weird and different, because I feel like most of the people that are on The Bachelor or Bachelorette end up like dating each other. Isn't it like this weird group of people?
When I got done filming The Bachelor, I just kind of decided to myself.
Oh, she can. Are you not set up for her to come in here? Kyle?
We can.
Okay, let her come in. Sit with him.
Maybe she doesn't want to.
Oh, maybe she doesn't want to. Am I forcing something?
Don't force her.
Am I forcing?
No, she's a star.
Oh,
you didn't know where the door was?
Looking at the window.
She couldn't find the door. Here, we'll just get you set so that we can get you both on camera.
Hi.
You're Nat.
I'm Nat.
Hi, Nat. How are you?
Great.
It was something about the Whole Foods.
We're good? Are we good, Kyle?
Diane. Heard wonderful things about her.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Miss Diane. I've heard
Oh,
wonderful
you go by
things.
Miss Diane.
No, that's the masseuse.
That's my masseuse.
Oh, I'm getting confused. There's so many names that he's been throwing.
I wish I could find her. Like after COVID happened, I just lost track of her. If you were listening, and she was great.
Maybe after she happened, you lost track of her.
Well, I don't think Diane was a threat, and
Are you sure she didn't feel that way?
What?
Maybe she wasn't even really a masseuse at Whole Foods. She was just setting up knowing like he is going to come today.
Yeah, she only ever massaged Nick.
Is that picture still on your Instagram? Around what date? Let's put it. I want to see what you slid into.
2019.
Oh, Megan has my
September
phone.
2019-ish. August, September 2019.
It's old. You have to go back for a minute.
But were you following him beforehand?
No. I saw him on my Explore page.
On what?
Really? You
Yeah.
just look
Explore?
at it. Yeah.
That was a photo that showed up on her Explorer
Explore
page,
Did you know who he was?
I didn't.
which a lot of people
Somebody
don't
else
believe
is
her for
coming
that,
in with the
yeah.
picture. Wow.
What?
It's Diane. Give him the phone.
You'll have to. I'll probably be able to do it faster.
Yeah. Wow. That's not Diane. Is that Diane?
No, Megan.
That's Megan.
Megan. Oh,
Megan.
that's the masseuse at Ralph's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, not Whole Foods.
Is it weird that I like a good chair massage? Well, you don't like people touching you.
Well, first of all, going shopping at Whole Foods, you think if you're going to go buy. No, I don't like. I've never had a massage.
I'm way more of a hypochondriac than a germaphobe.
I'm both.
Oh.
But so she slides into your DMs, and what do you say? Are you already? Do you do what you do? You're what are you? A surgical technician?
I was in college, so I was about to graduate college with my degree in surgical technology. And
Are you a Bachelor fan?
No.
She's not a fan at all.
I don't like it.
She.
Yeah. I don't.
Just
At all.
lay it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Settle down, young lady. I hate the fucking
Hate it.
bad. Yes.
No, it's fine. We watch it to recap, and so I've.
She begrudgingly. I make her watch it still, but she's not. She genuinely.
Did you
doesn't
watch?
care
Did you
for
go back and watch his season?
God no.
These horrible questions.
No.
Did you
I
find-
just couldn't. I just didn't have an interest to like watch him make out and get engaged to like another woman. I don't know. I just didn't feel like I needed to see that.
But you were okay with Diane.
Yes, Diane.
That's
loved
the
it.
picture?
Here
That's
we
the
are.
picture.
Can you zoom in on that? Can you zoom in? Tell me when you're zoomed in on it. Tell me when you're zoomed in on it.
Yeah,
He's got it. He's got
Just
it. All
a
right.
basic.
So that was the picture.
Yeah.
And you saw that picture, and tell me what goes through your mind.
Well, I can tell you, she sent me that photo and said, "You're unreal."
Really? That was your
That
line?
was
That's
it.
her line.
I thought it and I sent it, and that was truly the only thought behind it.
How do you
Really?
know that was a good comment though?
Yeah. Like I
You're
post pictures.
unreal. Like I cannot believe you posted that.
Yeah, because I post pictures and my wife will slide into my DM and go, "Really?"
Yeah, I mean, I saw it. I looked at her page and I looked at some of her photos and felt like the risk was worth it.
Risk versus reward,
Yeah.
and you got the reward. Yeah. So, how long after that did you? How did you get in touch? Did you leave?
We shortly after started talking on the phone, and then for 2 weeks we chatted over the phone, sent some, content to each other, and then met.
So is that your way of saying dick pics? No. Okay, I just want to know what content.
We proved we were real and not catfishing the other person.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's I'm a paranoid guy in that regard. So
Oh, you didn't think it was really her?
I just don't. I just think meeting people over the internet is risky because because a lot of people pretend to be people they're not.
And she was who she was.
Yeah. And then I was going to New York a couple weeks later, and she was living in Savannah at the time, and she used to live in New York, and we rendezvoused in New York.
That's French, right? For getting together.
Yeah.
We got together.
Yeah. And then so you got together, and the rest is history, and now you are engaged. Well,
It took about 10 months for him to come around. It was a lot of me being like, hey, I like you, would love to date you. And he was like, no thanks.
Really? And then
Really?
you kept going?
Yes, for 10 months. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to move on. So
ultimatum.
like, wish you the best. I'm out of here.
It was her way of saying,
Fuck you.
if you have a problem.
fuck you.
Yeah.
She puts it so eloquently. She's like a poet.
She
Wait,
hates
are
the
these rose
Bachelor.
petals?
And fuck you.
And fuck you.
Yeah, the rose petals for the.
Yeah, I just realized that. Thank you. That's nicely done.
See what we did there?
Yeah.
All right. So, so
It was just like a couple dates here and there, but I made sure to let him know that he was
have your
cool.
Did you
parents met him?
post a bunch about the dates? That's what you did. You
No,
posted.
he would. I didn't. He would FaceTime me, and I would be getting ready, and he'd be like, "Where are you going?" And I'd say I was going on a date. I just wouldn't.
with a
ever-
47-year-old?
Like, oh, he'd be like, who? And I'd be like, oh, the surgeon that
She-
is at the
A
hospital.
A surgeon.
She dripped me information, as they would say it in interrogation room. She just gave me just the information I'd ask for, but never enough, never too much, because you want the other person to remain curious.
Do you think your time on The Bachelor made you skeptical to get into a relationship, and that's why you were so like?
No. I think in my 20s I was a serial monogamous. Monogamous? Does that make sense? Yeah.
One. There was only one.
I was in 3 committed relationships throughout my 20s that ended, 2 of them were pretty heartbreaking for me. And I just had a lot of personal, I learned a lot about myself in that time. And then in my 30s, I was pretty comfortable with being single. And then I went on The Bachelor in my 30s. And I definitely think going on The Bachelor affected me for sure. It kind of made me relapse into being a 21-year-old again. I think, the show, kind of like the Are You Here for the Right Reasons, they want you to give in to they want you to be reactive, And as you get older, you learn, again, that just a little bit of infatuation might not mean love, and having someone not like you might be okay, but you go on The Bachelor, all those kind of rational, healthy emotional thoughts are kind of rejected. But I guess I was just comfortable, being single, and I was just I knew what I didn't want in a relationship, and I was fine. I dated a lot, but I wasn't. Again, I think relationships take a lot of work, and when I'm in a relationship, I'm pretty all in, and so I didn't need someone for the sake of having someone, and it was more about just waiting for the right person. I do think to a certain extent, I probably got a little too picky and a little when you're young and you fall in love, you're just you just respond to feelings. That's at least for me. It was like when I was 20, you meet someone, you're like, oh my God, what we should date, And then I think I went a little too far on the other side where it was like, I was trying to replicate the feeling that either I had when I was in my 20s or that I had on The Bachelor, which is just kind of giving into pure emotion. And it was really hard for me to feel those feelings in the real world. It was like, yeah, you're nice, cool. I don't know. I'm not really feeling anything. I was kind of looking for that, that spark, so to speak. And so, it required someone like Natalie to be patient with me. That I kind of I was self-conscious about the age gap, and it kind of took me 9 months to feel like, this is someone who, on a day-to-day basis, can be my equal, and we have a lot of compatibility and things like that. But I was pretty guarded at first. I wasn't open to her getting to know me, and I didn't want to get to know her. I didn't want to lead her on, and so I was pretty guarded, and she was pretty patient with me.
Was there any skepticism from friends or family that did know who he was previously?
Nobody really knew previously in my family, and it took a while for me to start sharing with my friends. I figured out who he was after that weekend we spent together, the first weekend in New York we spent together.
Do you guys want a lot of kids?
I guess we'll see how, the first pregnancy were to go. I don't know. how, I hear horror stories. So
About the first pregnancy?
about, being pregnant. And if it's
You
easy,
come from a
it's
family
awful.
of 7. He comes from 11.
Yeah, his mother loved it, loved every moment of it. She tried everything. She in hospital, out of hospital, at home, epidural, no epidural. She tried it all, and she loved everything. But I've heard just from friends horror stories.
It's awful.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Great.
Honest.
She's not a doula. My daughter is not a doula. No. So you do, what do you do in the course of a day? You're a surgical technician.
Yes,
I don't know what that is.
I assist surgeons in the operating room. So whether that's passing them tools or holding things open or suturing or whatever I need to do.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen? You don't have to talk about the patient or mention
The weirdest thing I've seen. We had a patient who tried to kill himself and shot his jaw with a gun and regretted it at the last second. So he pulled it away, but it shot off his mandible. So he had to take part of his tibia, which is the leg bone, and make it his jaw. So he had his mouth wired shut. It was the craziest thing.
That was more crazy than the metal rod in the head.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Oh.
Like driving behind, I will never drive behind a 18-wheeler that has a bunch of poles or rods because I've seen a rod go through a person's head before.
And survive?
No, that person did not survive.
But they operated for how long?
18 hours, 19 hours.
They
Very
almost-
long.
He was conscious when he first came in with a pole in his head?
He was, yeah.
What did he say? Excuse me?
I didn't see him. I just saw him in the operating room.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a massive headache.
Pole in my head.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
I thought you
So
worked
some
for
crazy
a
stuff.
plastic surgeon.
Now I work for an
Oh.
ocular facial plastic surgeon. I did work when I was doing those. It was reconstructive surgery. So it was a lot of car crashes, gun wounds, breast cancer, that type of thing.
Should I get my eyes done?
I can't see your eyes.
I know. Either can
Well,
I, because the lids close when I'm
Then
really
yes.
tired.
Then yes.
Is
you
that a
should.
big operation? Is it a
No, it's so easy.
yeah?
Well, she works for the best.
Really?
I do.
I'll get a consultation after.
People come from all over the world. Celebrities, everyone sees him. He's the best.
Celebrities from all over the world come to get their eyes done.
Yes.
Do they come from Van Nuys? Some.
Some.
And do you not want to share the date of when you're getting married? And what is the reason for not sharing the date if you're not sharing the date?
I think
I'd like to
I
buy
think-
a vowel.
I think most people know where it's going to be. So I think us saying the date, then it.
A little bit of privacy.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
you've given out the location?
No, but
No, but I think people are just.
are they?
How
Yeah.
would they know where?
Well,
I-
it's a family.
It's a family estate.
Oh, I know where.
And
I know where. I read
Exactly.
something amazing
Foods.
about you. Can I talk about this? No, he bought his family home for his mother.
Yeah.
He bought.
Oh, I did see that.
Did
yeah.
you see that?
Yeah.
Well, when you say that,
It's not
well,
there.
maybe they don't.
it's not there.
Okay.
But
It's a little too hard to get
there
to.
was some thought. Yeah.
but that's a great story. So he had a home that his grandfather built.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes, your grandfather built a home. And why did
This
you?
place.
Pardon me.
This place.
He built a home just
On his
above his
chest.
right nipple. Grandfather built a home above Nick's right
ink
nipple.
and needle, all he needed.
Do you have a tattoo?
I have, yes, several.
What do you do? We don't see any, but I'm not
They're
asking to see.
small, you had little ones.
What are they? They have any meaning?
Everyone has a meaning, yeah.
Everyone does have a meaning.
Yes, yes. Every single tattoo.
What do we mean to you?
A lot.
Let's get back to talking about my amazing story.
Okay. What is narcissism again? But yeah, the amazing story is his grandfather built a house. And why did you lose the house in 1965?
He died. Yeah, and it was.
But why the family didn't keep it? Oh, you couldn't afford it.
Not so much a fort. It's in central Wisconsin in a pretty rural area. My grandmother was also in her 60s, and my mom and her brothers were just kind of young and starting their families, and it was just too much for her to keep up, and no one else could really afford it. And so they sold it. And it was just a practical decision that, my grandmother and my grandfather before he passed decided to do.
And then how did you, you've been on Zillow for the last 30 years?
No, I mean, I mostly just, it was always a special place for me. I just, it was where it was my whole childhood. Every great memory I had was there. we were in a large family. My parents were pretty blue collar. We didn't take a lot of family trips. That was our family vacations up to the lake house. And when they sold it, I was devastated. And right after they sold it, the following Mother's Day, my mom decided that we would go up there for lunch and ask. And they knew a lot of people in the lake, so the house to the left of their house, they asked if we could have lunch on their patio and just kind of enjoy the lake one more time. Well, we were like next to our old house, watching the new family like play in it. And as like a 10-year-old, I was just like, this is the worst. It was like a nightmarish feeling. So I just never wanted to go back there again. But I would always dream about, I had a recurring dream my whole life that we would somehow be on the lake. And it was always some version of like, we still owned it, but like we owned it with the family, or we bought it. You know, it was always some version. I'd always wake up from the dream while on the lake, you know, and I've had this recurring dream my entire life. And then when I got all these tattoos, I always waited to get tattoos, you know, before working in corporate America. I, you know, didn't feel comfortable doing it. And then I worked for myself. I said, fuck it, I know I can get tattoos. And I got tattoos for all my siblings. And I wanted to get a tattoo of the lake house, and I had a conversation with my uncle at the time. And it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, hey, I'm actually finally in a position where I could afford something like this, you know? And I asked my uncle if he knew the owners who owned it, and he didn't really at the time. He guessed that maybe a couple brothers owned it, which I found kind of discouraging, because I was like, well, now I'm gonna have to get multiple people to agree to sell it or something like that. And then 2 months later, my uncle sent me a text message of a for sale sign from the property while I was doing a podcast. And by the time I got out of the podcast, he said, it's too late, there's an accepted offer on it. And so I tracked down the real estate, and I was just like, hey, listen, I know this is super weird, but I'm the grandson of the guy who built this house. And, you know, I was like, and I wasn't caring about negotiating. I was just like, and I said to the real estate agent, if you could reach out to your buyer and just simply say, unless this property is priceless to you, give me a chance to allow me to show you that it's priceless to me. And I offered him 20% of the purchase price, and he turned it down, cash, just to walk away. And there was a backstory there, because they had been trying to get on the lake and they had lost another property. So by the time they had this accepted offer, they were just kind of committed. But this family was gracious enough to they bought the house, and then he reached out to me and said, hey, listen, you know, we really wanted to be on the lake. Sorry, it just didn't work out. But if we change our mind in the future, we'll let you know. They graciously had us up last 4th of July, you know, prior to that weekend, and took it. And so I finally agreed to go back up and brought Natalie and my parents and said, you know what, maybe it's time to go. Because at this point, I had never been there in 31 years, and I was willing to buy this place, and I hadn't been there since I was 10. So I was like, well, you know, maybe it's a blessing I didn't get it, or maybe it doesn't live up to my fantasies or my dreams or whatever. But we went up there, and it very much did. And then a couple months ago, I got a call from the owner and said, hey, listen, it just kind of feels right for this house to be in your families, and they found another property on the lake that they liked, and they bought that, and he sold it to me, and I gave it to my mom.
Hell of a roller coaster, though.
Yeah,
but beautiful.
Amazing.
And your mom walking in for the first time,
it was incredible. I mean, it was, and what was really beautiful, I didn't even realize at the time, I was out of town when they closed on the house, so I'd have my dad like a power of attorney, but I finally made it back into town, and the first day I was there on the property was the 4th of July, which was my grandparents' wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
And it felt like after being there for a few hours rather, I was shocked just how much like it felt like home. You know, I was there for 4 or 5 hours, and like not much had changed. You know, like a little things have changed, but I was like, wow, this is you know, like I'm here, you know, and it felt like I was 10 years old again, and it felt very familiar, and it felt it very much lived up to all the dreams I had. It felt like I was living a literal dream, and like it truly felt like I've been here before, but in my dreams. But I always woke up.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So before we leave, first of all, thank you so much for coming, and I wish you both of you, nothing but the best and an amazing future. and it's kind of a neat story, and I can't thank you enough. When I came and did your podcast, I was impressed by your ability to kind of have other people reach out to you, and you can help them. I know nothing about relationships, having been in a relationship for almost 50 years, so I don't know what it takes now. So we put out a call to say, if you have a relationship question, one call. Will you help one of our listeners?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So I know you take them on Zoom, but we have one call coming in. If you could bring in a call.
No, I got the number so that I can call.
Oh, you
them.
called it. Okay.
Yeah.
And here we go. And feel free, Natalie, to also turn your volume up.
I did.
To help out.
Thank you.
Look at
Hello?
this. Hello. Who is this?
Hey, this is Derek.
Derek. We put out a call on social media that if you had a question about relationships, we have Nick Viall here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Nick.
And also, wait,
and Files, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I love the Viall Files, his podcast.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek.
And Natalie, his fiance, is also here, and you could pose a question, and hopefully they can help you with your relationship.
Yeah, Nick.
Are you in a relationship?
I am. I've been in a relationship. Super happy with this girl for the last 3 years, and I think I'm planning on asking her to marry me in the next few months.
Wow.
Congrats.
I don't know. This is kind of embarrassing, but I'm on OnlyFans a lot, and I recently won a contest. I don't know if you're familiar with the OnlyFans Fuck a Fan contest.
Oh, wait.
Is this real?
Did you win?
Yeah.
I paid a lot of money.
What is that? I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
So I follow this girl on OnlyFans. She's super hot. She recently said whoever donates the most for the last month, she would agree to have
This is a
sex
joke.
with them.
Is this a
as
joke?
prize.
Is this a joke?
No, it's pretty common with the OnlyFans community. It's kind
Is
of
it?
blown up on the internet. I didn't think it was real. I kind of entered it as a joke.
Okay.
How much money did you spend?
That's the question.
I kind of don't want to say.
Oh,
It's
More than you should spend on an engagement ring?
Is it
or-
more than 1,000?
a lot more than 1,000.
Does your
Will you plan on spending this much on your engagement ring?
Yeah, no, I mean the ring. The ring I want to get a nice one, but now I'm kind of in a pickle because I honestly
you spent that money.
I'm in a pickle.
So my question to you, Nick, is
Yeah.
how do I tell what would I say to let my future fiance be okay with me doing this fuck a fan?
You want to do it?
I don't think I can help you, buddy. I mean, you're asking me to figure out how to position this in a way that she's going to be okay with it?
I mean, what is there anything that you think of that I could say to her that to be like, hey, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Never going to have this again in my life. This is something.
Well, that's not true. You can donate money again.
Well, this is people have like get out of jail free cards.
To the reality stars for their mental health.
People have
Natalie?
like those get out of jail free cards where they have one person.
A hall
in a-
pass,
a
yeah.
hall-
Hall
yeah,
pass.
yeah, whatever it is.
What
So
do you
maybe-
think, Natalie?
Well,
I'm just a little stumped. So you want to fuck this OnlyFans girl, but you also still want to keep your girlfriend.
Yes. What is there anything that you could think of that I could? How do I even bring this up?
that's a great question.
Does he bring it up?
Does he just go ahead and do it? And then...
No. Yeah, I mean,
feel
listen,
like it's such a
you.
once in a lifetime. I mean, this.
Well,
if you
it's not-
saw this girl, you would.
I mean, if I'm like, it's the fact that you paid whatever amount of money, you know, like it's not like, boy, the damage has almost been done in that regard.
Well, I've got friends who spend way more money on OnlyFans than I do.
Okay, well,
good for you.
Does she even know you're on OnlyFans?
I think she's I don't think she knows exactly what it is, but yeah, she knows that I'm on it.
Did you tell her you won? Because maybe she'll be excited that she's getting married to a winner. He's a winner.
Yeah.
This one's a winner.
What conversations have you had with your partner about any kind of non-traditional relationship activities, like polyamorous or open relationship?
I threesome once, but she turned me down.
She turned you down, so we're already off to a okay. So doesn't sound like she's
I think
pretty.
it was because it was with her cousin.
You're lying.
Not whatever, like fourth cousin, not.
Is this real?
Yeah. Well, yes. I don't know if he's fucking with us, but
That is something.
Unfortunately, I think I think you should just be honest with her about the money and go from there. I don't think I can offer you any words of wisdom on how to kind of convince your partner to be okay with something they probably aren't going to be okay with.
Just like an icebreaker. Just
an icebreaker?
Just like something.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean.
Like how to even bring it up?
Is that what you're asking?
Because I haven't brought it up yet.
Yeah.
I just don't even know where to start.
I spent a ton of money that would otherwise go to our wedding. That's the thing. You're like,
and in return, I get to cheat on you.
But it's technically it wouldn't be cheating if he does want to be. He wants to tell her. So, I guess credit there.
Credit.
Would you still do it if she said no?
Yeah, great question. Are you willing to ask for permission, but also willing to ask for forgiveness?
I want, yes. I mean, I want to bring it out. It's because, me and my hopefully future fiance, like we don't have a
definitely emphasis on the hopeful.
And this OnlyFans girl is promising me things that are, she says she wants to dress up like the big bad wolf and blow my house down. And again, if you saw,
but you paid for her to say that.
Yeah. It doesn't mean
I'm in love with the stripper.
She's not actually going to do that. You just paid her for it.
Well,
so maybe
you know what? Okay, well, good luck, buddy. Was there any help? Did we learn anything?
I don't. Yeah, I think next time.
Next
time. I have advice. Yeah.
Next time.
Well, yeah, I guess. Okay. I don't know. It's just you got to be up front from the get. If you're going to do something where you think there's a good chance he might not be okay with it, it's hard to get them to sign off on said thing when you tell them halfway through the thing that you've already done.
To put it straight, of the way
you need to say, honey, I am thinking of entering a fuck contest.
No. It needs to start with, honey, I'm thinking of downloading OnlyFans. And then
she
see how that goes.
Oh, yeah, no.
Well, she knows he's on OnlyFans, but she doesn't know what it is.
Oh, she doesn't know what it is.
According to right, Derek?
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
She doesn't know it's
of it.
It's basically
here's what I would
porn.
say. You should say you didn't know. Also, you didn't know. Look, I didn't know. I won.
You thought it was the threads.
The threads. The threads. I thought it was the threads.
Yes. You could fuck somebody on threads too.
Less than $10,000.
Hello?
Just 10.
Just what?
Just what?
Just under 10.
Just over.
Over?
Under. Just under 10.
Okay.
Oh my God. Well, what I would say is get off the phone now and go get a job.
Yeah.
Go get money.
It sounds like he's.
Thank you for your call, Derek, and thank you.
Sorry we couldn't help you out.
Sorry we couldn't
I think
help.
that was helpful.
It was.
Thank you guys. Love you, Nick. Love you, Howie.
All right.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, look at. I didn't know. Who knew? Anyway,
That was, I love to get interesting calls, but you really trumped anything we've ever done in the Viall Files. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll ever get over him wanting to fuck her fourth cousin.
These are all. This makes for
Well,
a
they're
good,
still
good episode.
together. So maybe she's down for others. Like
You know
maybe
what's
just
good?
That's a good
family.
point. She
It's
did
good
not
when you
end
do
the
it-
relationship after he asked for a threesome with.
her fourth cousin. How
you
do you
thought that
know
was
when
better?
someone is a fourth cousin?
I didn't know
They're
that.
basically not related at that point, I guess.
23 and me.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been, it's good. Like a good show or a good movie, we leave you with some unanswered questions.
There you go.
Nick, is there something you want to plug or
Can I ask your opinion really fast on something?
Yeah.
Because they just announced yesterday about the
Golden Bachelor?
Yeah.
Huge fan. Yeah, I'm excited.
You
Looks
are?
interesting. Yeah.
But
I
what
hope
other-
it's the beginning of more spin-offs of the different types of single people. Because historically they're casting 20, 30-something people, most of which are very inexperienced with dating and love. And I'd love to see a 40-something-year-old, 40 and 30-year-olds, many of which are divorced or
Isn't the
looking
one
for
that they announced 70?
71. So it's like, it's the Golden Bachelor. So, here they're dealing with senior citizens, and I'd love to have them deal with 50-year-olds and divorcees and single moms, and like have more spin-offs of different people in different types of seasons of their life. I think it could be really interesting rather than the current format, which is always 20-somethings and 30-somethings.
I struggle with watching the 20-somethings and 30-somethings make out. I can only imagine how I will struggle watching a grandpa make out.
I remember a casting call for senior citizens, and then I don't remember anything coming after that. Don't you remember?
And that's how it's going to happen. Anyway, you're real interesting. There's no doubt to why you are successful, and it seems like you have a beautiful relationship, and I wish you many happy years together.
Thank you, Howie.
And thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming. Thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast.
Likewise.
And trying to redeem myself. Hopefully
I sincerely really enjoy your time. I thought you did a good job, and I think the people who were critical of you were always just going to be critical of you.
And I'll be reading the comments here. So comment, subscribe.
Do you
Go to
really read the comments?
He
I read
reads
all the
comments.
all the comments.
You know how you were talking about
Harry.
Harry. Megan, tell him what my name is.
Howie, take care of your mental health, man.
Yeah,
how is that helpful?
It's not. And I have moved my therapist into a whole new tax bracket. I'm very medicated as we speak, as I sit here. I've been very open about my mental health issues, and I have, along with my entire family, suffer from depression, anxiety.
But have you ever heard the
OCD.
term what other people's opinions of you are none of your business?
Just heard it now. You said it, and I'm wearing the headsets. So
It's very helpful to me. I don't know. Maybe it will be helpful to you, but
Yeah, I know that's helpful, but I am who I am, and
they don't know you. You know?
I know, but if I feel like I hurt somebody's feelings, if I feel that somebody else is hurt, then it bothers me. I don't mind hurting myself, but I don't want to hurt anybody else. And if I feel like I hurt somebody else, then it kills me. That's why you don't see me on game shows as a celebrity contestant, because I'm so afraid that if they don't make as much as they can make because of me, I won't do it.
But how do you do AGT and you have to turn people down and say you're not good?
Because me saying I don't say you're not good. I say I didn't
Respond to that?
I didn't respond to that. I don't get it. That is crazy. It has nothing. 3 of them could like you and move you on, and there's been people that I don't get and I don't love that have won the show. So I don't really have any real power to make or break somebody on that show. But that is a very good question.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you for answering.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
You're a great human, Howie.
I think I am. Anyway, subscribe, HowieMandel.com. Go to, is it Nick Viall?
Viallfiles.com or Viall Files anywhere you listen to podcasts or watch on YouTube.
All right. And we'll do all that. And thank you for your time. That's the end of the show.